Corpul omenesc, mașinăria supremă. Astăzi de la ora 21 pe Discovery Channel.
Era o vreme când mă gândeam doar la ziua de azi. Apoi lucruri bune au apărut în viața mea. Și am început să văd prezentul cu alți ochi. Și, cândva, după ce s-a născut copilul meu, am realizat că trăiesc azi, dar gândindu-mă la ziua de mâine și la siguranța familiei mele.
Viața ta se schimbă. Economisește pentru o zi de mâine mai sigură.
Vino la BCR și găsești soluțiile de economisire care ți se potrivesc. BCR. Gândim la fel.
Știți ce se întâmplă cu granulele pedigree pe care tocmai le-a mâncat Rex? De la burtică se duc la ochi, dinți și blană. E foarte moale și foarte fericit. Granulele pedigree se digeră ușor, rămân dovezi solide.
O bună digestie în interior se vede la exterior.
Nu pot lăsa durerea să ne strice planurile. De aceea am ales Voltaren Emulgel cu formulare unică. Scade inflamația din profunzime și îndepărtează durerea. Voltaren. Bucuria mișcării.
Fă-ți loc în bibliotecă! Colecția 100 de cărți pe care trebuie să le ai continuă să-ți ofere opere esențiale ale literaturii universale. Săptămâna aceasta, primul volum din Prin foc și sabie de Henryk Sienkiewicz. Joia viitoare ai volumul al doilea. Urmează Dama cu camelii, Insula Comorii și La paradisul femeilor. Biblioteca Adevărul, singura colecție ce își sporește frumusețea. Nu uita! Joi, 25 februarie, primul volum din Prin foc și sabie de Henryk Sienkiewicz, la același preț de 10 lei și 99 de bani. Numai împreună cu ziarul Adevărul. Proiect susținut de TV1000. Always a star at home.
Yo! Băieții caută sticla de bere perfectă. Check it up, ultima fiță. Când bei bere din asta mică, s-a terminat cu șmecheria. Genunchi!
Frate, doar un monstru, o șchiță!
Bărbații adevărați apreciază gustul, nu forma. Descoperă sticla de Holsten la 2 litri. Aceeași bere de calitate conform legii germane a purității. Holsten, totul pentru gust.
Ascultă muzica preferată la intensitate maximă cu noul Nokia 5230. În plus ai internet la viteză 3G și navigație inclusă. Abonează-te la Vodafone Complet și ai telefonul Nokia 5230 la numai 69 de euro. Intră în cea mai tare rețea. Merită Vodafone.
Yacht Pleasure îți oferă o invitație gratuită la Salonul Nautic Internațional București de la Roma Aerobăneasa 24-28 februarie. Vino și tu și poți câștiga un ceas pentru scufundări marca Buran oferiți de Russian Shop.
Mazda 2, în formă maximă, începând cu 9490 euro cu TVA inclus.
Chinuit de tuse? ACC e gata să te ajute imediat. ACC curăță căile respiratorii și tratează eficace tusea productivă. ACC 600, doar o administrare pe zi.
Uită ceea ce știi despre mașini și transportul obișnuit.
These are the taxis of the future. They don't need a driver.
Iar cu noile faxuri ai scăpat de toate problemele.
We could send not just sound and picture, but actually the 3D shape itself.
Lumea de mâine. Astăzi la ora 22 la Discovery Channel.
Inhabited. There's plenty of fish, if I can only catch them. But there are risks. Some fish are poisonous, others can attack. So keep your hands away from any dark nooks and crannies, because vicious moray eels will attack whatever comes into view. And don't try eating them either. Moray eel can cause ciguatera, the most common form of marine food poisoning in the US. I can only hold my breath for a couple of minutes before I have to resurface. Of all the mammals, humans have the smallest breath-holding capacity. But I've got to keep going. And it would give me such a boost to get a proper meal inside me. That turtle would make a tasty dish. But in the late 1970s, they were placed on the endangered list. so I'd only think of eating it if I was absolutely desperate.
Running out of puff down there, but I'm definitely managing to hold my breath for longer now than when I first started, and that's what I need to do, just slowly increase the time.
But meeting a shark is not what I expected here. Luckily, this is a sandbar shark, one of the least aggressive species around here. But he's a reminder that there could be others around, so it's time to get out of the water fast. But I'm not giving up. In any survival situation, you've just got to keep on trying. And if that doesn't work, then come up with a new plan. I'm going to try a traditional technique that's used by Pacific Islanders.
Tatuajele nu sunt invenție de oraș. Au istorie din sălbăticie. Când câștigi dreptul de a fi tatuat, durerea nu mai contează. De unde vin tatuajele originare și prin ce trece un războinic pentru a fi tatuat? Învață lecția lui Lars Krutac, vânătorul de tatuaje. Mâine la ora 22 la Discovery Channel.
Ca tu să te bucuri în continuare, am prelungit oferta. Până pe 28 februarie, o masă completă de la McDonald's e tot 10 lei. Ia-ți un meniu Big Mac la 10 lei sau un meniu McChicken tot la 10 lei.
Nicoret conține nicotină terapeutică ce te ajută să reziști tentațiilor de a fuma, astfel încât te vei elibera treptat de nevoia de țigări. Înlocuiește țigările cu Nicoret și renunță la fumat complet.
Amigo, îți pune mintea în mișcare.
Au 10 magazine în România.
Acum și în San Plața București.
Ce prețuri bune!
E timpul pentru construcții.
Perfect pentru casa noastră. Perfect pentru grădina noastră.
Baumax, din 25 februarie în San Plața București.
Pregătește-te pentru noul Cio Chips Bacon. Gust intens de bacon și chipsuri delicioase de cartofi. Încearcă-le acum!
Publicitatea nu mi inspira mereu încredere, dar când am filmat acest spot pentru Centrum, am fost curioasă să-l încerc pentru a-mi echilibra dieta, întări sistemul imunitar și a completa vitaminele și mineralele pe care le pierd zilnic.
Pentru că Centrum conține toate vitaminele și mineralele de care organismul are nevoie pentru a fi sănătos. Centrum, complet de la A la Zinc.
Centrum, multivitaminele de care ai nevoie pentru o dietă echilibrată.
Acesta este un supliment alimentar cu multivitamine și minerale. Citiți cu atenție prospectul.
Ziarul Adevărul relansează colecția originală Jules Verne, Cărțile copilăriei tale, acum cu mai multe ilustrații din prima ediție franceză. Miercuri, 24 februarie, Doctorul Ox. Săptămâna viitoare, 2 ani de vacanță. Urmează un bilet de loterie, uimitoarea aventura a misiunii Barsac și 500 de milioane ale begumei. Nu uita, miercuri, 24 februarie, Doctorul Ox, la doar 10 lei și 99 de bani. Numai împreună cu Ziarul Adevărul, proiect susținut de Orange.
Bună ziua! În acest minunat colț de natură crește mazărea iglo?
Corect.
Când pot gusta și eu această mazăre fragedă și fină?
În numai 3 ore, boabele proaspete ajung de pe câmp în pungile de mazăre Iglo. Poți gusta și tu. Iglo, natura este cea mai bună rețetă. Legumele Iglo, proaspăt culese de pe câmp, acum cu 33% mai mult la același preț. Iglo, natura este cea mai bună rețetă.
I've put myself in the position of someone stranded on an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I'm looking for a plant that can be used to poison fish. The tuber plant is common throughout the Pacific. It has distinctive oval leaves and is found near coastlines. The poison is in the roots. You want to use only fresh, small roots, as they are the most toxic.
Fish often get trapped in little rock pools like this at low tide, and what I'm doing here is just crushing up this tuber root to get the oils out of it. And this is so cool, this. What you do, really mash it, and then just shake all of this into this water.
Within minutes, any fish caught by this should float to the surface. The plant and root system contains rotenone, a natural toxin used for centuries by indigenous people for harvesting fish. And the poison has no effect on human beings, so the fish are safe to eat.
Cool, well that's 8, and that's dinner. Now I've actually caught these fish, I need to cook them. And what I'm going to do is bake them in what's called an emu, and that's a traditional Hawaiian rock oven. And this is something I've always wanted to do, but I've just never normally had the time to spend to do it properly. And what you do, first of all, just dig a pit like this. So I'm going to use my giant nose tweezers that I made earlier, which are quite cool. And I can just pick some of these rocks up, place them in here, and these are now really hot. And it's these that are going to slow bake the fish once I've wrapped them up. And these rocks will stay hot for hours and hours and hours, and sand is a really good insulator. The way I'm going to do these fish is to wrap them in these tea tree leaves. And these tea tree leaves are really important actually to Polynesian people. They're known for their medicinal qualities, anti-aging, always good. But more importantly, they're going to make it taste nice and keep all the moisture. And this is going to be the very center of what's really the ultimate steamer. And what I'm going to do then is tie one end together. And that's ready to go into the oven. And what I do is use some of these leaves here just to line the bottom of the oven. Put the bundle in there, more leaves on the top, and then basically leave it. And this, in about an hour, should be ready. I can't wait.
While that's cooking, I'm going to extract some oil from coconut flesh that will protect me against the sun and salt water.
And what I'm going to try and do is then crush it and get the oil out of it. I'm never going to get it looking as smooth as like sun cream, but I just want to crush it enough so the oil seeps out of it. And it's this oil that I'm going to use just to protect me against all the salt water, chafing and the sun. And then all I need to do is get a little bit of it, rub it in my hands, and then rub it onto my skin like this. And you see the oil coming off, and that's going to give me good protection.
My fish should now be cooked.
There we are, and I can see just the little fish eyes have popped out. I don't know if you can, if I pull one of them out. The fish eyes have popped out, and that's a sign that they're ready. But these you can just eat whole, and this is gonna be good.
You could stay on an island like this indefinitely. But throughout history, maroon sailors have often risked it all for a chance to make it home.
The ancient Polynesians used to travel hundreds of miles in canoes that kind of looked like this, these dugout canoes. But when they wanted to go further afield, what they did was add like an outrigger. So it would look like this, and this added stability to the craft. But I haven't got the time or the tools to build this sort of elaborate canoe. But what I have got here is fantastic resources, masses of bamboo and masses of lashings. And what I can do is build like a like a catamaran, a twin-hulled version of this that's much less sophisticated, but it's got the stability, and I can use that to get me off this island.
Bamboo has been chosen by seafarers for thousands of years for its strength and buoyancy. There are air pockets in between the section joints of the plant, and even tiny air chambers in the wood itself.
To fell one of these bamboos, I'm going to need to build a fire under the base of it, just because there's no way I'd be able to hack through this with my knife alone. It would take me forever. But before I do that, I've got to pierce one of these chambers, just because these bamboos are in sealed compartments full of air. And if I didn't do that, when I started the fire, the air would heat up and it could explode out. So I need to try and get the point of my knife, or bit of my knife, just through it to release that pressure. This stuff is just so tough. But I think, yeah, I can see I'm just through the outer bit, and that should have released the pressure. So now to build the fire, and I've carried an ember from my campfire just in this coconut husk, and shit, it's still going. Yeah, okay, that's still alight, and I can use just any of this dead stuff here. Almost died on me then. I thought, I can't face walking half a mile all the way back through that jungle to get another ember. Awesome!
I'm gonna lash it all together with the bark of the hibiscus tree. This simple catamaran-like design will give the raft more stability and give me room for provisions.
And I just can't wait to get this thing in the water.
The deck has to be strong and flexible enough to withstand the powerful swells and waves and lift me above the water, keeping me as dry as possible. And because the raft will be so heavy, I'm building it on bamboo rollers to make the task of getting into the water easier. Now, I need a sail. Without that, any trip will be at the mercy of the currents.
This is the one part of this whole raft that is a complete unknown to me. Trying to make a sail, and this is something I've never done before. If I'm honest, I don't know whether this is just gonna work or not.
I'm going to interweave these palm leaves to make the sail, then build a timber frame to support it, bracing the whole structure.
Maybe that across the bottom. A few of these, and then lash all of that together. It just might work, but I don't know whether it's going to stand up to the rigors of whatever the Pacific has out there.
I decide to find out what the conditions are like further out to sea, and they are not good.
There's no way I'm going to be able to get off this island until these trade winds ease a bit. I mean, just look at this. It's just this frothing cauldron of white water, and it's so intimidating to look at, and it's just as far as the eye can see.
Any raft would struggle in seas like this. I'm gonna have to wait for the winds to ease. Then I spot something in the water. A bottle. This could be a lifesaver.
If I can somehow manage to get this bottle, it can make all the difference to me. But getting down there is not going to be easy.
Waves like this can be lethal. Waves usually have a regular pattern to them. They come in sets of 7 and get bigger throughout the set. So if I'm patient enough and watch the patterns, I can avoid the biggest waves. The bottle has floated into some calmer waters. I'm going to take my chance. This bottle can store precious water, but now it's time to head back to the shelter side of the island to put the finishing touches to my raft. In the open seas, I'll need to be able to control the raft. So I make a simple oar out of hibiscus. I'm threading it together with a fiber for strength. This will also act as my rudder. It's hard, slow work, but it's worth getting right. I just don't want to be at the mercy of the currents. My sail is also beginning to take shape now.
Weaving is one of these things you just can't hurry. And it's so nice just to actually have the time to sit quietly. The sun's gone down, the fire's going, and I can slowly weave this all together. But it's definitely beginning to feel now that this could work as a sail. And it's almost as if every weave that I'm doing is another step closer to home.
Next morning, it's raining, but that's good news for me.
Oh, perfect way to have a fresh shower with all this salt water I'm under. That's much nicer than the salt. When it's raining like this, I really want to try and make use of it and see if I can collect some water. And the best way of doing this, I've just found this old bit of coconut bark. And if I place that in the sand like this, with one of these big leaves, the rain will collect on here, funnel down this and into this, and this can be full when it's raining like this.
In this heat, you should drink at least a pint of water every day. My bottle will only give me 5 days' supply.
That's hard work. But it's in, and that's my sail, and it's also going to be my sunshade when I'm out on it. It looks awesome. And I've got to make sure now I've got all the provisions I need, because I'll tell you what, once this baby launches, it's so heavy, there's no way I'd ever get it back on this beach. And I've got to have everything I need for whatever the Pacific has got to throw at me.
As well as water, I'm taking more coconut oil for protection and sand to polish my knife. If I see any ships, I'll use it as a signal reflector.
For me, this is so exciting, and I will never forget these days, but I just pray now with my whole heart and soul that this thing works.
It's a moment of truth, and if you're not completely confident that your raft will survive, ditch it and swim back to the shore. But this Polynesian design seems to be stable.
Well, I'm off, and the winds are much lower than they've been for the last few days. I've just been keeping an eye on them, and these trade winds have definitely died, and this is a weather window I've been waiting for, and I just hope this weather stays until I can get going a bit.
Rough seas will severely weaken my raft, and I hope this calm spell will last. But at the moment, the first problem of being out here is the sun.
It's so hot here, and this sail's giving me a little bit of shade, but my main problem at the moment is the amount of saltwater spray I'm just getting over me, and I can feel my skin getting really just dry from it, and this is what I bought this coconut oil for. And this is the time to be putting it on, to stop getting all this rubbing from the salt water. The best way of keeping cool though in this heat is just every few hours dive in and have a dip. But you always want to make sure you've got a leash on, because there are an awful lot of stories of lone survivors getting separated from their rafts.
But the survivor must always be on the lookout for hidden dangers in the water.
Whilst I was swimming, I also managed to get stung by jellyfish. And you can see the nematosis of where the tentacles have gone across my skin. And there's a really good way of dealing with this, and that's just to pee on it. And what happens is the acid in the urine neutralizes the proteins of the sting. I can pee into this coconut thing. Okay. feels much better. And it's not the most elegant of medicinal solutions, but it's practical and it works. Just remind me not to drink out of this coconut again.
The hours pass slowly at sea, and there is no escape from the burning sun. It's vital to keep cool, so it's time for another dip. But there's something in the water, and I've got to get out quick. I should have double-checked before diving in. My raft has caught the attention of tiger sharks, one of the most aggressive sharks in these waters.
I tell you, I'm lucky to be out of that water. And normally, if the sharks are on the surface, you can see their dorsal fins. But these ones are deep, and I had no idea they're anywhere near when I got in. Whenever you're swimming off a raft, you always want to keep your clothes and your shoes on. And statistically, whenever people have been in the sea in groups, it's the unclothed ones that are often attacked first.
This is because sharks can confuse the flickering sunlight on the skin for fish.
Wow, look at this fella, look, whoa! And these tiger sharks have the most damaging bite for any shark in the sea. Look at this guy. And if you are in the water and being attacked, the best thing you can do is yell, slap the water, and punch it on the nose or go for the gills, as those are the most sensitive bits of a shark.
And it's just the scene people stranded at sea most fear. And it's so hard to keep calm.
Urmează corpul omenesc, mașinăria supremă. Cum și de ce funcționăm? Iar de la 22 înapoi în viitor. Dezvăluiri impresionante din lumea de mâine. La 23, rablele ajung în mâinile fermecate ale echipei de revizie.
Ca tu să te bucuri în continuare, am prelungit oferta. Până pe 28 februarie, o masă completă de la McDonald's e tot 10 lei. Ia-ți un meniu Big Mac la 10 lei sau un meniu McChicken tot la 10 lei.
Înnoiește-te acum! Folosește până la 3 tichete prin programul de înnoire a parcului auto plus 2 tichete cadou de la Citroen. Citroen C1 începând de la numai 4.490 de euro TVA inclus.
Citroen. Creative Technologie.
Redescoperă bunătățile coapte de la Cio. Biscuiți sărați, covrigei și stixuri crocante și delicioase pe gustul fiecăruia. Încearcă acum și noile mini-rondele coapte.
Când ești răcit sau ai gripă, lasă Coldrex Hot Rem Honey and Lemon să te ajute. Vei simți că înlătură eficient principalele simptome ale răcelii și gripei și te pune mai repede pe picioare. Coldrex Hot Rem Honey and Lemon. Fii mai tare decât răceala și gripa. Acest medicament se poate elibera fără prescripție medicală. Se recomandă citirea cu atenție a prospectului sau informațiilor de pe ambalaj. Dacă apar manifestări neplăcute, adresați-vă medicului sau farmacistului.
Chinuiți de tuse? Nu poți respira și îți simți căile respiratorii încărcate? ACC e gata să te ajute imediat. ACC curăță cu grijă și eficient căile respiratorii. Astfel, tusea productivă este îndepărtată și căile respiratorii protejate.
Gata, mereu în laboratorie.
ACC tratează eficace tusea. ACC 600. Doar o administrare pe zi. Acest medicament conține acetilcistină și se poate elibera fără prescripție medicală. Se recomandă citirea cu atenție a prospectului sau informațiilor de pe ambalaj. Dacă apar manifestări neplăcute, adresați-vă medicului sau farmacistului.
Yo! Băieții caută sticla de bere perfectă. Check it up, ultima fiță. Când bei bere din asta mică, s-a terminat cu șmecheria.
Frate, doar un monstru, o schiță!
Bărbații adevărați apreciază gustul, nu forma. Descoperă sticla de Holsten la 2 litri. Aceeași bere de calitate conform legii germane a purității. Holsten, totul pentru gust.
De la doar 19,5 euro pe lună ai laptop performant, software licențiat, antivirus pentru protecția datelor, internet de mare viteză și asistență tehnică dedicată pentru hardware și software. Oferă-i afacerii tale soluția completă IT Manager.
Pentru că Rom Telecom Business Solutions susține businessul românesc.
Te bucuri de toate lucrurile frumoase pe care le vezi sau pe care nu le vezi. Te bucuri de viață, nu doar de un Volvo. De aceea conduci unul.
I've built a raft and left the island to show you how to survive at sea. But now I'm facing a situation faced by many maroon sailors.
Oh, that one just knocked under the raft. Wish these bloody things would go away now. Look. Whoa! Whoa!
Great whites aside, the tiger shark is responsible for more recorded human deaths than any other shark.
Holy smoke, this is not good.
But soon they get bored of me and leave. It makes me wonder how people have survived being adrift for week after week in these vast oceans. It takes willpower and resolve simply to keep your hopes alive. This is why it's so important to keep yourself busy and do all you can to find more water and food.
Time for a bit of fishing, and I've got a fish hook made from one of the fish bones of the fish I caught on the island, a little bit of bait, a line made out of the hibiscus fibre, and then a bit of bamboo for the rod. Fingers crossed I catch something. Then just settle back and see what we get. Hey, I've got something, look. Hey, whoa. Wow, look at this. This is actually a little surgeonfish. These are quite nasty little brutes. And you can see why. Look at these. Look, these are razor sharp all the way down here. That little knife-like thing there. And another blade-looking thing there. And these are so sharp. These can cut a vein easily if you picked it up wrong. And what I'm going to do is open it up. And you can see the spine of it actually here, and what I want is to get the fluid out of that. Not much, but it's better than nothing. One of the most incredible sea survival stories I've ever heard is of a couple called the Baileys, husband and wife, who were hit by a whale in their yacht, and they ended up in their life raft for something like well over 100 days. And they lived off just raw turtle, seabirds, and fish. And all they had was like, a few safety pins and their bare hands. And they were eventually rescued by a little fishing boat. But their clothes had literally rotted on them, and they had terrible sunburn and sores all over them. But they were alive.
It's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but with the reflection of the sun in the water, it feels like even more. And without shade, I'm now risking sunstroke. The Pacific is a vast ocean, but it also has busy shipping lanes. However, these ships probably won't see you unless you can draw their attention first.
There's a boat of hurry bound. for about 4 or 5 miles away, and I've just seen the top of it when it stops dipping in and out of the trough, but it's definitely a boat. It's gonna use this knife, just in a bit of sand, just to brighten it up, and use this to signal with. And signaling like this, you can be seen up about 10 miles away really well. And there's actually a guy who was rescued from over 100 miles away just from using a reflector like this. And all you do, where is it there? Get your V of your finger and then glint this in the sun, put it on the object and just bring it in and out of view. And pray like anything that there's someone on deck watching. That definitely turned me. Even though this might look idyllic, it's been much harsher than I ever imagined. And I've gained definitely an understanding of just how unforgiving the sea can be, but also how heroic some of the people are who have survived it. And it's almost like one of those places you can't appreciate it until you've actually experienced it. But for me, it is definitely time to go home. Whew.